Games 1 and 2 of the Heritage Junior Hockey League Championship Series are in the books, with Games 3 and 4 set for Friday and Saturday this weekend on HNLive.ca. Coming up, we're going to talk to Pat Garritty, the head coach and general manager of the Sylvan Lake Wranglers. But first, joined by the voice of the Championship Series on HNLive, Chris Colwell. And Chris, I would have to think that Games 1 and 2 are pretty much exactly what we expected between these two extraordinarily evenly matched teams.
They definitely are. It didn't start out the way I thought it was going to with game one. That first period, 3-1 Okotoks lead after one. And then nothing for offense in the second and third period, at least for goals. There was offense, there was chances, but both goaltenders were outstanding. I suspected we were going to see a goaltenders duel. You looked at the three goaltenders, Toussaint, Loeb, and Nicholas, and the numbers they had throughout the playoffs and even throughout the regular season. All three goaltenders were under 2 in the goals against average category. They're all well over 9, in some cases over the 930 mark in the save percentage. So I expected to see a goaltenders duel and goals to be at a premium. Well, that first period kind of shocked me, and it looked at Matt Toussaint and went 3-1. Well, we could see a last shot wins kind of mentality, and then we didn't see a single goal after that. Game 2, a little more even throughout. The goal scoring was paced throughout the game, which you kind of expect. So, the first two games, very interesting. And again, we're seeing that goaltenders duel that's starting to form. And I suspect if you were going to average out the number of goals per game, probably going to be looking at the 4 to 5 goals per game in the category by the time this series is done.
Well, and just speaking about the goaltending situation with Sylvan Lake, and something we'll ask Pat Garritty about, they've rotated, Toussaint and Loeb all season long, even in the playoffs. And then you get down, give up 3 goals in the first period of game 1, and you think maybe there's going to be a change coming. And then Toussaint locked it down the next 2 periods, and he got the start again in game 2. How interested were you to see that, and how huge was he in that victory on Sunday?
I was very interested to see that. I actually, when I was driving up to Sylvan Lake, was expecting Peyton Loeb to get the start after, not only just after the loss, but just the fact that, as you mentioned, Sylvan Lake has been rotating goaltenders back and forth throughout the entire season and even into the postseason. But then to see Caden Toussaint now getting 3 straight starts, it's like, okay, he's taking the ball, he's rolling with it, he's running, and he has been the hot hand and has had the most success against Okotoks. Hasn't shown in the win-loss category until Sunday. But you look at his numbers historically against Okotoks the last 2 years, and his numbers are that much better than Peyton Loeb's. And I had to wonder, if Loeb did get into a game, how short of a leash he would have.
So it's just in your mind, I guess, one goalie sometimes matches up better with a team than another one does. And in talking about, the mental side of it, for Sylvan Lake, not just from a goaltending standpoint, but from a team standpoint, if you look back at being swept in the playoffs by Okotoks in the championship final last year, falling to them in provincials, and, losing in the regular season series as well, I have to think that the victory in game 2 was a massive lift. As much as they're going to have a belief in themselves, only losing 3 games all year, to get that win in their building against Okotoks in a championship series, I mean, their level of confidence, the weight off their shoulders a little bit has got to be huge.
Absolutely massive. When you look at Sylvan Lake, the Wranglers, since they moved to Sylvan Lake, are, before Sunday's game, they were 1-10-0 against Okotoks. They had a couple of shootout losses to the Bisons, one including this season. But since moving to Sylvan Lake, the Wranglers have struggled against the Okotoks Bisons, and that's kind of a testament to how strong Okotoks has been the last number of years. But also just, Sylvan Lake has probably been the second, third best team in the league every year for the last 3 or 4 years, but just haven't been able to get over that hump that has been Okotoks. So how much that win on Sunday will be huge for them, it will probably be massive. Problem is for Okotoks is same as High River in that first round. They got the win in game 1, and it just seemed to wake a sleeping giant, and that was the last time High River really had any kind of advantage in that series. And then poor Rocky took the brunt of Okotoks just being like, okay, this isn't going to be like, we can't just sleepwalk through it. And I actually wonder a little bit from games 1 and 2 if Okotoks, after they won game 1, said, yep, it's just going to be like it was last year. 4 quick games will be done. We'll get a week and a bit off before provincials. And I didn't think Okotoks looked ready to play game 2, and Sylvan Lake took advantage of that early double minor power play and took advantage of one of those two, got up 1-0 early, got their fans into the game, and really never looked back and didn't give Okotoks a lot of opportunity in game 2.
Well, we'll ask Pat Garritty about this, but I wonder if the fact that Sylvan Lake played a more competitive semifinal series does leave them a little more prepared to go in games 1 and 2 for this type of a battle, because they've had to go through something like that. Yes, it was still a 3-1 series win over Medicine Hat, but they were extraordinarily tight games, whereas for Okotoks, the road was not quite as tough through the first 2 rounds.
It definitely does. And I asked head coach Brad Cobb about that before game 1 on last Saturday. Asked him about, how do you negate some of the bad habits that could have crept into your game, especially in that series against Rocky, where it was pretty much easy for the Okotoks Bisons. The first game might have looked a little bit closer than it was, and that was thanks to a last-second goal from the Rams to make it 5-2. But then after that, Okotoks was just absolutely dominant. And head coach Brad Cobb said, you know what, if we play our game, and which is the puck possession game, lots of shots, get a lot of opportunities, then they can make it a short series. But he also knew that Sylvan Lake, with the depth that they have, their top 9 forwards match up pretty well against Okotoks' top 9 forwards, and it would come down to who's going to make fewer mistakes.
Well, and, it's never been a challenge for Okotoks to score goals, but Sylvan Lake allowed the second least in the league and only 88 in total throughout the season. And so for Okotoks, after scoring 3 in the first period, there's only been 2 goals in the next 5. So going into game 3, I would think finding some offense early is going to be important for a team that never has a hard time scoring goals, but just for their confidence offensively.
It will be, but as I said, also for Okotoks, it'll be getting back to their game plan. They got away from it in game 2, and really you could look at it, and I know sometimes the shots aren't indicative, but really in this series, you're going to look at the shots, and really that'll determine who's going to have the advantage in this series. If Okotoks dominates the shot clock like they did in game 1, Okotoks has the advantage. If Sylvan Lake can keep the shots even and keep the puck away from Okotoks, and if they get their chances, then you know what? Advantage to Sylvan Lake. And for Okotoks, they're going to have to find a way to bounce back. For Sylvan Lake, keep that momentum going from Sunday. Keep getting underneath the skin of the Okotoks Bisons, and guys like Maddox Bignell, who really frustrated the Okotoks D-core.
Your best players have to be your best players to win in the playoffs. I look at the performance from Justin Gary in game 2 as an example of that. Gives his team, a 2-0 lead in the first period, and then scored a huge goal early in the third to get them some insurance when only up by 1. How big was his game in game 2?
Absolutely massive. And you know what? I apologize to Justin Gary. Is unfortunately just the speed that he had everybody beat, the Okotoks defenseman and the referee, to the net, and made an absolutely gorgeous move and tucked the puck in. But it was because it was on that far post, wasn't sure if Grady Nicholas got his pad onto it in time, and Gary celebrated right away, and the referee came down and made no signal. It was probably has been the best play of the series, and unfortunately it was so, is it in or not? And I wasn't able to make the call that I wanted.
A little like Patrick Kane's overtime winner in the Stanley Cup. Remember?
100% it was. Yeah. It was exactly like that, where the only one who knew it was in was Patrick Kane. And I talked to some of the Okotoks parents afterwards on my way out, and they're like, we didn't think it was in. They asking me, was that goal in the third period for Gary, was it in the net? And I said, you know what? I will always trust a goaltender, because the goaltenders usually know. And Grady Nicholas got up, and that puck was, when he got up, that puck was in the middle of the blue paint. But Grady Nicholas never argued with the referee, never said, no, I had it under my pad. Look, it was underneath my pad. It never went in. He just got up, and he kind of tapped the puck away. And a couple of defensemen came over, and I would love to be a fly on the wall, but just being like, you had that, right? And I'm pretty sure Grady Nicholas said, no, it went in.
All right. Well, all that said, let's get the word from one of the teams here, as we have an opportunity to chat with the bench boss of the Sylvan Lake Wranglers. And we're joined now by Pat Garritty, head coach and general manager of the Sylvan Lake Wranglers. Coach, you got the split in games 1 and 2. just talk about your feel and what I think for everyone has been the close series so far that we expected.
Yeah, I mean, if you asked us before the series started where we'd want to be after 2 games, I think we'd take a split. We're confident in our rink, and we're confident in their rink too. It seems like every time we play there, we hit a bit of a snag. And that was the case in game 1. They're a good team. They're well coached. They got some firepower, and it bit us on Saturday night for sure.
Coach, you had a chance after Saturday's game to kind of review the film, and it seemed like you had a different kind of strategy Sunday without going into details about it, because you, of course, don't want to relieve any secrets. But how much did that help the guys for game 2 and really kind of shutting down that long pass for Okotoks?
Like I said, they move the puck well. They move it quick. They're efficient. And we just wanted to make sure that we're just giving ourselves the best opportunity to be successful. And I'm sure they're watching our film and we're watching theirs. And, at the end of the day, the players play the game and our guys are ready to go. And they're excited about the opportunity.
One thing certainly that struck between games 1 and 2, and it's been hard to score goals against Okotoks this season and in this playoff. And you guys put 4 on the board. What do you think were some of the keys to your success offensively in game 2?
Well, I think if you go back to game 1, we had some chances. And, Nicholas played well. And late in the game, he was real square to the puck. And we got a couple power play goals on Saturday, or on Sunday night, that really helped our situation. And, we said specialty teams is going to be huge in this series. And the team that, wins that battle is going to have a really good opportunity to be successful. So, like I said, they don't give you much. They check really well. They're very good positionally. They're very disciplined. So, we know we have to be at our best to continue that offensive form that we found in game 2.
Talk about the schedule this year compared to last year. Last year, it was just game, day off, didn't matter seemed to what round it was. But this year with, just playing on the weekends and having those extra days off to kind of review and get prepared as well to kind of heal up some of those banged up injuries, what kind of advantage is that?
I mean, it's the same for both teams. So I don't really know if there's a particular advantage to each team. With the crossover in the round before, that really disrupted the flow of games. A 4.5-hour travel time between us and Medicine Hat. You can't play weekday games. And, in fairness to Randy and his squad, they had to come up and play us on 2 one-day events, which is tough. These guys work and they're going to school and, but now that we're playing Okotoks, they're 2 hours away, literally almost to the minute. It's 2 hours away, which is a lot easier. We got 13 days to play next weekend. We'll get a little hairy if it goes the distance. It starts a Good Friday and goes 3 days in a row and ends on Easter Sunday. So not exactly optimal. But having Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off it's different. It's a luxury that, we're definitely taking an opportunity to rest a bit.
Throughout the regular season, throughout the playoffs, you've gone on a rotation with your netminders, but you've leaned on Caden Toussaint in this series so far. What have you seen in him that's had him get the ball and a terrific performance, certainly in the series so far, especially in game 2?
Yeah, I mean, Sean, you're so right. I mean, we had 2 MVP quality goaltenders on our team this year, and Peyton Loeb has had a season of seasons. As a 21-year-old, he really focused in and did the work this year, and he had an excellent season for us. Caden's a really good goalie. He's a leader on this team, as both of them are. We're real comfortable with both of them. We went with Caden for both games 1 and 2. And he got into a good groove, and I thought he was pretty solid in both games. But in particular, in certain parts on Sunday night, he really made the difference.
How key is it going to be? You talked about the special teams, but how key is the goaltending going to be in this series?
Wow, it's everything for both teams. First period, we had a backdoor play in the power play, and it was just, Nicholas just made a hell of a save, and I felt like we had a little bit of momentum, and that one save really kind of turned the tide for the next 6-7 minutes. They kind of built off that. So that's what good goaltending will do for you. And Toos and Lober, they've done that, for the last 6 months for us. So we're extremely lucky to have them, and we look for that same effort from our guys moving forward.
How much do you think it helped having a series like the one with Medicine Hat? I mean, all season long, it's not like goals are easy to come by, but you guys have been able to produce big offensive numbers all throughout the regular season and in the playoffs. And then it was just a little bit tougher to find offense against Medicine Hat. So to go through a series like that where you had to battle a little more to get your offense, how much did that prepare you for this series?
I think it was huge. That series with Medicine Hat was as good a series as I've been involved with it, in terms of gameplay, in terms of, every game being just a hell of a game. And we're comfortable with the lead. We're comfortable in close games. We're comfortable playing from behind. We had to do it a lot this year at certain times. But we believe in our offense, but we know that our defense has to be super strong. Our defensive play has to be super strong to have success against a squad like the Bisons.
Pat, talk a little bit about the intangibles in the series. We talked about goaltending, talked about the special teams, but there's some intangibles that, people may not see. And for me, what sticks out was either Wiskowski was out of game one, but came in game two, got on the score sheet, but I felt him and Bignell were real difference makers for you guys in that game as you got underneath the skin of the Okotoks Bisons.
Well, hey, depth. You need depth to win at any level, and the Heritage League is no difference. Like I said, we're super lucky to have, Ethan Wizakowski's a 17-year-old that came in and played for us this year, and he's had a real good season. He's learned a lot. He's a physical, strong guy. Maddox Bignell came back from BC. And he's learned that part of the game, and he thrives in those moments. So we got all sorts of guys playing key roles for us. As we move forward here in this series, we expect more guys to even chip in. We're deep as we've been in my 5 years here by a bunch, and with character people. We got excellent human beings wearing our jersey, and they're leading themselves, and we're looking for great things from moving forward.
In terms of motivation, I mean, it's, not hard to find motivation when you're in a league championship. You want to win the league title. But, you mentioned to me that you heard the talk about North versus South all throughout the season, and the South being so much stronger in the league, and that it was taken personally in your dressing room. And this is the team that beat you in the final last year. So is there extra motivation for your guys in both of those things?
I think that the South was very good this year, Sean. They were excellent teams. You take a look at High River, who kind of snuck in the playoffs, and they gave Okotoks pretty good run in that first round. So they're a good team, and but we are too. We believe in our abilities. We know that that we have an opportunity to be successful. We would love nothing more than to win the league championship, of course. Is there a rivalry between us and Okotoks? I would say that both teams, when we play each other, want to put our best foot forward, because there is that extra little bit of competition when you're playing a team, especially a team that beat us out last year and then, and then got the better of us in provincials and Okotoks as well. So that win on Sunday night was a nice start for us, and it gave us some life and some belief. And that's something that we're going to just, keep that candle lit as we move forward.
And you said that belief from Sunday's win. How do you guys keep that momentum moving forward into both Fridays and Saturdays, games 3 and 4?
It's all cliches from here, fellas, right? But it's true. You just got to take care. We tell our players, you just got to take care of you. You got to do your job for your line mate or your deep partner or your goaltender, or you got to do your job for your defense. If you're do your part, do those things necessary that, that bring success or that help success happen. And our guys are ready to go. We're going to practice tonight, just kind of hone in on a few things, just kind of sharpen our saws before we go to battle tomorrow night down in Okotoks.
And I've talked to some people in Sylvan Lake here over the last couple of weeks, and I really get a palpable sense of excitement and community rallying around a team. I mean, when we were doing the game in Medicine Hat, we were getting pictures from a watch party of our broadcast. So How much have you guys felt that as a team and taken a boost from the level of, excitement that you get in your community right now?
Yeah, it's great. The players love it. We have a lot of guys that came back from some different leagues that had the opportunity to play in front of some pretty big crowds. Medicine Hat did a great job down there on the Saturday night. They are sold right out. So we all have our own advantages of playing in our own rink, but the momentum is really building here, and I think it's building for the long run, not just for our short little playoff run. It's been kind of coming all year. We all know what COVID was and what it did to all our franchises. It decimated us, and basically you lost your fan base, and it's taken us a couple of years to build it back up. We're pretty close to the Black Falls Bulldogs. We're close to the Red Deer Rebels. We're close to both the NHL teams. So we got a lot of noise from an entertainment standpoint here in our community. So we know that we have to bring value and have to bring a good product on the ice in order to see that kind of grow moving forward.
It's been very impressive seeing the crowds in pretty much throughout the entire playoffs, wherever we've gone to. But how much do you want to take the Okotoks crowd out of the game on Friday night and give your fans something to cheer about early on?
Well, we kind of seem to score first a lot of times in Okotoks. It doesn't seem to matter. So, our guys can feed off it. That was a pretty hostile environment down in Medicine Hat on the Saturday night, and our guys loved it. They kind of like that David versus Goliath kind of, us versus them kind of mentality. So they thrived on it. We've got quality players. They're competitive. They're motivated. They're ready to go, whatever gets thrown at us.
Well, Coach, I know it's a really busy time of the year right now, so we appreciate you taking your time here today to talk about the series with us, and wish you the best of luck in games 3 and 4 this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Thanks, Chris. And as always, we certainly appreciate the coverage you guys give our league. It's super professional, and it's something we're really proud to be associated with.
All right. Thanks a lot, Coach. Appreciate it. Really appreciate Pat Garritty giving us his time today. Again, the head coach and general manager of the Sylvan Lake Wranglers, who had their first win against Okotoks in the last couple of years, and a huge one to tie this best of 7 Heritage Junior Hockey League championship final at 1 game apiece. And you'd have to think, Chris, this Sylvan Lake team has a little momentum going into game 3, but they haven't had a win in Okotoks. Well, have they ever had one? And you mentioned the record of 110 and however it was. Have they had a victory in that building? It's certainly been a long time anyway, and they're going to need to win at least one to win this championship.
They are going to need one. They haven't as Sylvan Lake, as the Black Falls Wranglers. Yes, they have, but as Sylvan Lake, they have not had a win. But looking forward to what could be now a very, very long series between these two teams. And congratulations to Sylvan Lake on that Game 2 win. And like I said, take that momentum forward into the rest of the series. Make life difficult for the Okotoks Bisons. Maybe you can come away and sneak one out on the road in Game 3, Game 5, or Game 7. As right now, for Sylvan Lake, their goal is just have to win one on the road, hold home court, and then they're heading to provincials for a second straight year.
Well, we've got a series on our hand, that's for sure. And you and Matt Torgerson have the call on Friday and Saturday on HNLive.ca. Chris, it's been great hockey so far. Looking forward to a whole lot more of it.
Definitely. And for everybody that is, anybody that is coming down, drive safe with that winter weather here. It's going to be coming down throughout the weekend. So drive safe if you're coming down. But if not, we're going to have the entire call for you on HN Live for both days. That's
right. On HNLive.ca, you can watch the whole Heritage Junior Hockey League Championship Series. Thanks again to Pat Garritty and Chris Colwell. I'm Sean Mullen. You've been watching HN Live today in our championship midweek preview for games 3 and 4 of the HJHL final.